welcome to Tom Myers versus the rest of the world. A lot's been going on this week. Right before we started recording, the House of Representatives voted to release the investigative files of the Jeffrey Epstein case. The vote was 427-1, with the bill headed to the Senate, where it's going to pass on a unanimous consent vote, at least as of the time of this recording. The vote occurred because 4 Republicans signed a discharge petition with the Democrats to have this vote. One of them, Lauren Boebert, was invited by Donald Trump to a meeting in the White House Situation Room to have him talk her into removing her name from that petition. I don't know what disappointed Trump more, that Lauren Boebert didn't remove her name from the discharge petition, or that Trump was stuck in a dark room with Boebert and she didn't even give him a hand job. If there's one person I really feel bad for in all this, it's Ivanka Trump. I hope she doesn't read the content of the released Jeffrey Epstein emails, learn about all of Trump's dalliances, and get jealous. In the documents released about her time in a new lower security prison, it was revealed that Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell was permitted a service dog. It must make her feel better about her particular situation. Having a living thing that attends to her every need, it must remind her of her time with Epstein. The documents reveal that Ghislaine Maxwell knew more about Trump's involvement with Epstein. It must have been strange for her to lie about sexual assaults that she herself didn't commit. This just goes to show how far out of order Trump's priorities are. Instead of blowing up all these Venezuelan fishing boats, why doesn't Trump just blow up Jeffrey Epstein's island and get it over with? In response to all the talk about the Epstein files being released, Trump posted on Truth Social that he's not concerned about it and that he has a country to run. Yes, off a cliff and into a fiery canyon. Trump fired back at a female reporter asking about the Epstein list by saying, "Quiet piggy." If I was that reporter, I wouldn't know whether to feel insulted or relieved that Trump doesn't find her attractive. I should warn you, anyone who doesn't laugh at my jokes about Jeffrey Epstein, I put them on a list. Unless, of course, they're already on one. Donald Trump hosted Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, calling him a champion of human rights. That's like Trump being a champion of healthy eating. It's unclear as to whether Trump had bin Salman over to go ahead and talk about trade between the two countries, diplomatic relations, or if he just wanted tips about how to deal with journalists.
Yeah.
And if there's one person I kind of feel bad for in that situation, it's Mohammed bin Salman sitting there thinking, damn, I wish I'd brought my bone saw. Donald Trump issued a pardon to Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, Sidney Powell, John Eastman, and others for their involvement in the 2020 election aftermath. I wonder why he waited this long to do it. I have a theory that one of his advisors reminded him, sir, remember the guy you motorboated while he was in drag? Yeah, he's broke, but you kind of owe him one. Police responded to a noise complaint at Kris Jenner's birthday party. I'm shocked. People still know who Kris Jenner is? That's literally the most lighthearted joke I'm going to make on this show. And now on with the show. Joining me this week are Polite Kitty, Chipp Jones, Valerie, Paschall, and Nicole Blessing.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, everyone, welcome back. What's everyone been up to this week?
Not much going on, but you know what? I gotta say, that was quite a niche joke, because how many people have actually seen that video of Trump actually motorboating Giuliani? Because it does exist.
we played it on the show, I think, like the third episode, when it was clear that Rudy Giuliani was going to have some involvement in the election aftermath. Yes, the show has been around that long.
Yeah.
Amazingly enough.
So like and subscribe and check that one out, because now you need to catch up.
So what you're saying is this show is like Trump. It just won't die. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
So
Hey!
was that your golden age of Tom?
Golden age of Tom.
My golden age was long before this show started, sad to say. I saw the dumbest sticker ever created recently, posted on a wall. It said, "We are all Charlie Kirk now." Not quite. I can still stand and breathe, and I don't have a fucking hole in my neck. Charlie Kirk said that some gun deaths were needed to protect the Second Amendment, so it's quite ironic that he was shot to death under a tent that read, "Prove me wrong." In fact, the shooter missed. In fact, the shooter missed an opportunity to have one of the alleged messages written on one of the bullets being, "Okay, here you go." He not only advocated for more gun deaths, but also wanted young people to watch public executions. Wow, Charlie Kirk got everything he wanted. What a lucky guy. When I heard Charlie Kirk had died, I was surprised that he was so young and that it wasn't due to natural causes, because given how conservative his views were, I was amazed that he wasn't 126 years old. In his memorial post, Donald Trump said that no one had a better heart for youth than Charlie Kirk. And if there's one person who knows what makes a heart for the youth, it's the president, who, need I remind you, has his name all over the Epstein files. I, for one, couldn't watch the video of Charlie Kirk being shot. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't make it through the whole thing, because I was coming so hard that I damaged a perfectly good high-end laptop. And as a result, I am now barred from my local Office Depot. So, I wanted to go ahead and get into all this. This isn't necessarily about, trashing Charlie Kirk because, he was this, perfect person. No. In fact, I had a whole bunch of quotes compiled. This is just from the last few years. On a post on what was then Twitter, September 2nd, 2021, he wrote, "Abortion is not health care." Later that year, November 10th, he wrote, "If you actually watch his trial, it's obvious Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong." And then the following year, October 12th, 2022, "I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that it does a lot of damage." He said that on the Charlie Kirk show that day. Also on the Charlie Kirk show on July 13th of the following year, 2023, he wrote on African-American women in positions of power, "You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously." And then January 3rd, 2024, he said on his show, "If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman," and I'm quoting him, "I wonder, is she there because of her excellence? Or is she there because of affirmative action?" 20 days later on the Charlie Kirk show, he said, "If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified."
You mean he's calling them boy?
And then on March 21st of that year, he said at a Turning Point USA Faith event, interesting name for that event, about birth control, "It's awful, it's terrible, and it creates very angry and bitter young ladies and young women. Then that bitterness then manifests itself into a political party that is the bitter party. I mean, the Democrat Party is all about, bring us your bitterness and, we'll give you free stuff." 10 days later, on March 31st, on X, he wrote, "There shouldn't be a transgender day of visibility." Later that year, on April 15th, he said about protesters, "If somebody has had enough of your antics and has to run you over to get somewhere, they shouldn't face any penalties." And quite frankly, he ripped that off of George Wallace in 1968. So shame on Charlie Kirk. Then on the Charlie Kirk show 5 days later, April 20th, 2024, "The single woman issue is one of the biggest issues facing a civilization." And we've scratched the surface because just this year, June 5th, it's time to ban third world immigration, legal or illegal. We've reached our limit and we have a huge cultural, educational, housing, financial, and essential services problem to fix now because of it. We need a net zero immigration moratorium with a ban on all third worlders. Then he posted on X on June 27th, "Ketanji Brown Jackson is a diversity hire. She is only there because she's a black woman." That was his quote. He wrote that on X. And then on July 14th, he posted on X, "0 people from Gaza should be allowed to come to America." period. End quote. End of vile Charlie Kirk statements, which I'm listening to all this stuff because a lot of my fellow podcasters, they go ahead and talk about Charlie Kirk. They kind of danced around it around the time because it was a tragic event. Obviously, no one had to see that, but just because of that, let's not paint him in like a 100% positive life. He did and said and advocated some pretty evil shit.
Not just evil, but ignorant. Like,
Right.
bro, I wish the Democratic Party was I bring my bitterness and get free shit. I haven't gotten fuck all. And I'm
would be
very
so
bitter and
nice.
angry.
I would love to get things for being just bitter and angry. I would be swimming in free stuff. But I mean, he didn't he drop out of community college? I mean,
Exactly. And
Yeah.
he had the nerve to, to talk down to, Supreme Court justices that were black women or women of color. My thing about him is just the total disinformation. I think that's why the Republicans love him, is that it's all lies. This whole quip about, when I get onto an airplane, if I see the pilot's black, I'm nervous, right? This idea that somehow black pilots are inferior. If you knew what a black pilot has to go to just to be taken seriously enough to fly a commercial airplane, that they have to be 110%, 120% better than any white pilot. It harkens to the fact that, Top Gun, everybody knows the movie Top Gun,
Yeah.
the contest of
Yeah.
the best fighters, fighter pilots. Well, the original Top Gun happened in 1949. The original first team to win the first ever Top Gun were the Tuskegee Airmen,
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
the Red Tails.
yeah.
Wow.
The Air Force or Army Air Corps hid that fact until 2023. They finally released the truth and said, well, our first Top Gun was won by the Tuskegee Airmen. So they acknowledged them when there were only two of them still alive. So they went, over 50 years, almost 70 years, not telling the truth that the best pilots from World War II were actually African American pilots.
Right. And that's what it is. It's truth. And supposedly Charlie Kirk was all about First Amendment, free speech, and getting the truth out there. That's just what, that's what he wanted. But yet we have facts like this that I bet you not a lot of people know.
Among his statements, now swept under the rug by the mainstream media, were not only his comment about gun deaths being necessary to protect the Second Amendment, but also his advocating of public executions for young people to witness. Wow, he practices what he preaches, and he's 2-0. Another one of his statements is the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake, a statement he fails to defend to a young African-American podcaster during an exchange at the 2024 Democratic Convention, as we can see in this clip.
I have a question.
Okay, what's your question?
Why did you say that the civil rights bill should be overturned?
I didn't say that. I said it was a mistake.
Why? That's crazy.
Now you gotta figure it out.
I wouldn't be here. That's trouble.
Who's that?
And then later on in the clip, he goes ahead and tells this podcaster, well, you go ahead and figure out why it was a mistake. And then that's who a lot of these podcasters are memorializing. They don't have the balls to call this guy out.
Who's that kid? I want to go follow him. That was awesome.
Right.
Well, I mean, I do not support gun violence. I mean, what happened was terrible, but it seems to be the only gun death that Republicans care about. I mean, let's stop and think how many children have witnessed their friends murdered in far more gruesome ways than what happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
And this man told them basically, just suck it up, kids, because we need our guns. And now the Republicans want to have a national gun registry database.
I know.
Well, I was wondering whose death it was going to take.
Well, I mean, it doesn't go unnoticed that he has now become their martyr, and he is more valuable to them as that than he was just a podcaster going around colleges.
I think you have a good point, because up until his death, I was blissfully unaware of who this man was. I had not heard his name. But the day that I heard, oh, this dude died, suddenly I know way more about him, and my life is not better for it.
And I'm sorry, what is the deal with his wife being at the White House and all of this? Her husband was a podcaster, not a politician, not,
Well, he was basically a shill man, a spokesman for the conservative, for the right wing, and he carried that to the demographic that they're trying to cultivate, which are young college-age kids. And he presented them to it as if the things that he was saying were fact, and that the problems that they have caused, the ills in society, were someone else's fault. The reason that black people don't do as well in the United States is because of black people. The reason that Latinos don't do as well is because of Latinos. It is the other person's fault for everything that's happening wrong to them in their lives. It has nothing to do with white supremacy or that DEI was. It comes from one of the things that the conservatives have hated since 1964 has been the Civil Rights Act, because at that point, the government did sort of make a change and say, well, there are things that we need to do to make a more fair America. And the conservatives were like, well, wait a minute, now government's not working for me. Government always has worked for me. When you think about Jim Crow laws, sundown towns, that was government working for white people against people of color. And now suddenly government is working for everyone. Wait a minute. They're like that first only child who suddenly has a sibling and is told that they have to share. So they see it as losing something. I used to get everything and now I've got to share. I don't want to do that. That's not fair to me. Stuff is being taken away from me. And Charlie Kirk was one of the flag bearers for that.
In the wake of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, the right-wing media sphere is quick to decry the use of violence as it was directed against one of their own. In this clip, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham boils down the complex nature of the Republican talking points toward their newfound objection to the use of a firearm to settle political differences.
What we need to do is be honest with each other. President Trump is not just president of the United States. He's the leader of a movement. Charlie Kirk was his chief lieutenant. This is viewed by many people in the MAGA movement, conservatives like myself, as an attack on the movement, not just traditional political violence. And I really believe that. And what I'm asking everybody to do is not to resort to violence to settle your political differences. To those wounded and hurt, Turning Point wasn't a violent organization. It wasn't Antifa. It wasn't the KKK. If you really want to honor Charlie's legacy, get involved. Do what he did. Organize, debate. Let's win in 2026. That's the best way to do this.
I don't think that's good advice to go ahead and say, do what he did, considering when he did that, he got shot in the fucking neck.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that matters, but who cares about the representative from Minnesota who was gunned down with her husband and dog? Oh, that didn't matter, but this one we care about a podcaster.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't care about Gabby Giffords actually during
didn't care about
when that happened either.
Well, the biggest thing is, he thinks we got to do something different in violence, but he doesn't say the same thing about the J6ers. He has no problem with Trump pardoning the J6ers, So there's only a certain kind of violence, the violence against us. That's That's
He did have a problem with it for about a month until he got his head screamed off in an airport, and then suddenly, okay, maybe I can back off on this.
Yeah, I mean, because his ass was the first one out of that area when those January 6th riders were coming in, because he was running out the door too. He was scared. He knew there was violence.
Well, and it goes against their whole promoting of, like, if only we had good guys with guns. So why was Lindsey Graham not packing that day and didn't go back and get an Uzi and deal with this as a good guy instead of running like a whiny little piss baby?
Well,
Right,
because,
exactly.
but those guys are good guys to them now, right? Those were good guys.
I will say
I'm
this.
sure that's why Josh Hawley was running like he was trying out for the sprinting team.
Right.
I will say this. One of the representatives who made a fuss out of magnetometers and members of Congress being scanned for weapons when they came into the chamber was none other than Maryland's own Andy Harris, who happens to be not only Maryland's only Republican representative in Congress, but also my representative, or the guy who represents my district. So it's like sort of we can get into Maryland redistricting in another episode, but he's really kind of like a fuck you attitude in a state full of fuck you attitudes.
Right.
He goes against this never-ending cycle.
Quick question for the senator. You think Antifa is an organization?
Yeah, well, that's part of their talking points, you know.
Yeah.
Antifa is the left KKK, except, you know, KKK, they have members, they own property. Antifa has none of that, you know. But
They
they've been sued successfully and run out of business.
They have a power structure, but Antifa isn't an organization, folks.
Right.
No, I believe it's what you would call a movement.
Yeah, but they gotta have something in the talking points to show that both sides are the same. You know, that's one of the things that they like to do all the time. Well, you know, this is what the Democrats are going to do when they get into power. Except the Democrats never do that, right?
They just roll over.
Yeah, so it's like,
I'm on a committee, the 1A committee that's being started up again, and we talked about that actually, like how to market and be more like a Republican campaign. You know, you got to have a consistent talking point. You know, kind of like what Charlie did with the whole banner thing, and having a good slogan, because that's what you're going to target your audience that you want, right? And that's how movements get started. Yeah.
With the corporate media bosses officially retreating from the narrative of both sidesism, but more toward the side of being able to cover absolutely anything critical of the Trump and MAGA talking points, it is up to independent journalists to call out those who attempt to make false equivalencies between the ideologies and how they carry out in their agendas. In this clip, we see Don Lemon having an exchange on the steps of the Capitol with a testy Congresswoman Nancy Mace.
I think the issue is that you guys are saying that it mostly happens on the left. No statistic, no government statistic, no study group, the Cato Institute, the Anti-Defamation League, the FBI, no government statistic shows what you're saying. It's showing the exact opposite, that 60 to 75% of the political violence is committed by people on the right. But yet you, the president, the vice president, the attorney general of the United States are giving false information to the American people that it only happens on the left and that it is.
False information about Republicans. You guys have called.
But there's no facts to what you're saying.
Kamala Harris called us fascists while she was running for president.
The president called her fascist as well.
And you in the media have amplified that. You all have done that. A man was killed last week for having the, quote, national conversation that you want to have so peacefully. He did that, and he was murdered for it. And I live.
You don't know if that's true. You don't know what you don't know what the motivation is. Do you have evidence of that?
Well, they said on the bullets there was fascist commentary on the bullets, pro-transgender commentary on the bullets. Don't give me the bullshit that
could very well be so, but we don't know if that's true right now.
Was a transgender? Was it? Come on, let's be honest about this.
That's disrespectful.
Republicans vote to table.
I really don't care because there are a lot of out there that want me dead because I'm a rape victim who wants privacy in the bathroom, that can F off. I don't care. They want to kill me, and they're not going to.
How would you like it if someone called you out of your name? If they called you a B word or any of that, how would you feel?
These people are calling me and all these awful names online. Are you kidding me? Come on. They are the most egregious, most vile, violent people on earth. They are mentally ill and should be in a straitjacket with a hard steel lock on it.
I mean, Don Lemon did admittedly have some missteps during his final days at CNN. But now that he's left, it's almost as though, like, free of corporate constraints, he can go ahead and literally go after these people who spew all this bullshit.
Right, and to call them out. I mean, they always like to isolate on a single episode. It's funny how she talks about Charlie Kirk being assassinated, but what about the Democrats up in Minnesota, I guess it was. What about the fact that the numbers show overwhelmingly, like 75% of political murders are done by the right? So yeah, you can cherry pick all the numbers you want, but the deal is when you add it up, it's the right that are killing people.
Yeah. I mean, he was killed by a white guy. I don't know.
From a conservative family. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he was murdered. He wasn't assassinated. He wasn't a figure to be assassinated. He was just shot.
Yeah.
And I laugh every time they have this thing about the transgender message on the bullet. No. God. Oh, come on. It was just the manufacturer? And you people call yourselves gun aficionados? Come on.
I mean, and if there's one group that's not exactly a fan of the transgender community, it's every single fascist regime in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that she's using that she was a rape victim as a point, you would think that would be a point that she would use to go after, I don't know, men, maybe like the president who has been actually, accused of this and has felonies. But no, we're going to, create catastrophic thinking over something that doesn't happen. No? Okay.
And to throw that out there, I mean, it shows, I'm not diagnosing her as narcissistic, okay? But it shows the narcissistic-like trait in her because, boy, I mean, how quick was she to throw that out there? I was a rape victim too. Why are you going to try to guilt me or shame me to not ask you a question as part of the free press?
Yeah. But I mean, it's also this idea of somehow, are they saying that conservatives have been the one that have backed women to empower them, to help them not become rape victims? It's like everything about the conservative is about keeping women in their place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not empowering them. So yeah, you're a rape victim because of the mentality of the party that you're involved with.
Despite the efforts of allies of the Trump and MAGA movements to shift the narrative of what happened to Charlie Kirk to the blaming of both left and right-wing activists, they always seem to fall apart, as we can see when Trump economic advisor Peter Navarro attempts to do the same in this clip.
There's a disturbing asymmetry between what the left is doing to us and what we're not doing to them. If you think about it.
You mean conservatives?
Well, let me run the list here. I mean, first of all, I was in the first administration all 4 years. Every single person I was in with suffered from some kind of lawfare. At a minimum, it was Dan Scavino, Mark Meadows, ran up millions of dollars in legal fees, Walt Naga. Right. At the other end of the scale, Bannon and I went to prison. We had the president trying to be put in prison for 4 different courts, 2 assassination attempts. Now they got Charlie. And then I came here for 9/11.
You went to prison because of refusing to. It was contempt of Congress that sent you there.
I went to prison because it was my duty as a presidential advisor to refuse a subpoena. That was the policy of the Department of Justice for more than 50 years. There was no dispute about that. They changed the policy to put me in.
He did say, to be fair to Peter Navarro, he did say he was there to talk about 9/11 because
Right.
that was the only thing to happen in New York. That was more of a disaster
Right.
than that interview.
I am sick of hearing about the assassination attempt that never was and how the ear mysteriously grew back.
Mm.
I mean, we've seen Time did a great job of putting that photo right on the cover. I mean, there's no damage. There's nothing. And so then it begs the question, with all the conspiracy theories out there now does this tie into the Charlie Kirk murder? Was there some, I mean, like, I don't know.
I just think at the core of this argument, that we are the ones that have been persecuted, that everyone's trying to put us in jail. And that's not what happens to Democrats when they're in office. But you guys are the ones that are fucking breaking the law all the time. It's like if somebody was a serial robber and his justification in court is the police keep coming and catching me breaking stuff and doing stuff, and then they arrest me. I mean, they're after me. Well, you keep breaking the law, so that's why they keep coming after you. It's like,
what you're saying is you don't like consequences of your own actions.
Right.
Exactly. You want to take the Constitution, wipe your butt with it, and move on with your life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's what
I can
you want.
tell that this guy absolutely used Charlie Kirk as a blueprint for this interview, because what he was talking about had nothing to do with the subject matter
Right.
that he came to talk about.
Yeah.
No, not at all. And
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk was useful up until the point he flipped his stance on Israel.
Hey, I know, right? Have you guys been watching the Candace Owens drama with that?
Oh, yeah.
Is the left to blame for inciting rhetoric that led to the killing of Charlie Kirk? That is nowhere close to possible, as we can see in this clip from right-wing podcaster Nick Fuentes.
Charlie Kirk cannot call himself a Christian anymore. Sorry, you forfeited that. I do not want to hear, and you cannot allow Charlie Kirk to go to one more public event, one more question and answer, one more ask me anything, without being protested, without being shouted down, without being interrogated about this. This guy goes around from campus to campus in the most artificial and phony and fake way, talking about, oh, God made me very blessed that I control $500 million. Oh, I'm so blessed. I'm so rich and I'm so blessed. And oh, God's been so good to me.
I mean, that's the kind of rhetoric that could make someone, especially on the on the right wing end of political discourse, just get the idea. Hey, he could be right.
Yeah, I mean they are the king and queens of terrible rhetoric. I mean, just a couple of days ago, Trump calling a reporter Miss Piggy. I mean, they're always throwing dirt on people. And saying, it's the left that are inciting violence,
Oh, man, that would have been a perfect opportunity for that journalist to do a hi-ya, because
That's right.
no way Miss Piggy would have taken
He didn't.
his
He just
crap.
called her Piggy. He didn't say Miss Piggy. I mean, Miss
just-
Piggy is an icon.
Right.
Let's not insult.
Respect. She has a whole guide to life where she gives
Right.
advice like never buy beauty products at a hardware store. Okay, and those are words to live by. No, he called her just
Piggy. Okay.
Piggy. And it was a missed opportunity to be like, oh, I'm sorry, was I holding up a mirror?
That's right.
There was a lot of quippy comebacks, and I get it, she was professional and,
Right.
trying to do that. But my God, is this ever going to end? He just says whatever, does whatever. And I had someone comment on something I'd posted on Facebook, be like, I don't think he would would do anything to teenage girls. I don't think that's a line he would cross. And it's like, are you delusional, sir? I mean, there is no line this man will not cross. Literally none.
There's
thank
video.
you.
There's video evidence from when he ran the Miss USA.
Teen, Miss
Teen USA. Yeah, he
Teen
talked
USA.
about it.
Yeah.
Oh, we totally, like, he did it. He talked about it all the time. I mean, yeah, I kept getting these things like, were you a victim of Jeffrey Epstein? No, I was not, because I had a helicopter mom.
Yep.
But
You know,
yeah, it was all over.
And I have close family members, I'm not going to say their names here, but that told me before, Audra, I think you're wrong. I don't think Trump did anything. I don't think he's a pedophile. I don't think that these people, it wasn't like, they try to really downplay it. And these people are liberal people. And I'm thinking, why, do you think there's a line that they're not going to cross? There's not.
No, there never was. I too have relatives like that, and they, well, you're wrong, Nicole. And I was like, well, you can burn in hell, block forever. I don't care. I'm married. I got a new family now. It's fine.
I'll get a new one.
It's okay. And it's a myth. It's a myth that as a woman, you get married, you become so much more conservative. You do not.
Nope.
Oh no. If anything, my aunt is even more, progressive and even more of an activist than I am. And she lifts weights. So
wow. I want to meet this woman.
You really do. Lynn's the best.
Of course, Charlie Kirk was a highly divisive political figure throughout the course of his life, and his legacy will continue to be argued among the different political spheres. As charged as he was, it does seem careless that his highly publicized events basically had the security of a small-town farmer's market. If we want to look at the atmosphere that led to Charlie Kirk's death, we can look no further than the first person to publicly light the sparks a decade ago, the current president of the United States, as we can see in these clips.
They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, that will be a horrible day. You want to call him, what do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
white like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. Cheney was he said, I really want to thank you. He said, now I'm so glad that I actually endorsed you. It's amazing, but that you would do this. And I didn't speak to him about it. But then, go a couple of years forward or go now. And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. When the guns are trained on her face.
But the left is supposed to be the one that's
violent.
Okay, right. All right. Yeah. I mean, there you go. There you have like the top of the Republican Party and the conservative movement advocating violence. I mean, I think Chipp, was it earlier, said, someone on this panel said something about how Democrats wouldn't stoop to that level. So, there you go. There's your proof.
I mean, it is. It's the well-worn tale. It's like they are good at marketing. They're good at repeating a narrative over and over again, and everybody gets in line and repeats the same phrasing. And, if you tell a lie loud enough and long enough, you're going to get a bunch of people that are going to believe it, This idea, I mean, they started with the narrative that what America needed was a businessman to run it, to fix everything that's wrong with America. And Trump's Trump's a businessman and he's an excellent businessman. He's not. I mean, he's failed over and over again. His father started out with $400 million. If he had put it in a regular money market account indexed for the stock market, he would be 2 or 3 times as wealthy as what he is now. You know, it's like he has failed as a businessman. He has managed to survive by scamming and cheating and lying. But he's no genius. I mean, we see this over and over again.
Right.
So the real blame is on the producers of The Apprentice, who created this fake narrative and this monstrosity that we are now dealing with.
Right. Well,
and now I don't feel so bad for not getting on that show. You know, and we watch these clips of Trump saying these terrible things, and my mind starts to drift to like, you know what? There was all that controversy over Obama in his tan suit, which was very well tailored. Yet Trump's pants are never long enough when he sits down. You see his weird cankles and weird socks. And can we just do something about that for the immediate future?
Yes,
Nicole's just given up.
Artist.
Nicole's just given up on the tie. I've noticed. Like, fuck the tie. Well, let's work on the cankles first. The tie's gone. He's not going to change that.
Well, listen, it's learning to change the things that you can, let go of the things that you can't, and having the wisdom to know the difference.
Exactly. At least we can make it slightly more palatable if we don't have to look at the cankles.
Right. So in this age, though, I would say it's becoming have the patience to change the politicians you can, to shoot the ones you can't, and to know the difference.
I need that embroidered on a pillow. Make that happen.
In conclusion, it was announced that first daughter Lara Trump would be performing at the Turning Point Alternative to the Super Bowl halftime show. That is a perfect venue, as when people hear her sing, they will think, I bet Charlie Kirk is glad that he's dead so he doesn't have to hear this bullshit. The Charlie Kirk shooting was significant for conservatives, as it's the first shooting that took place at a school that they couldn't attribute to crisis actors. Right-wing comedian and podcaster Chrissy Mayer commented that no attractive women celebrated Charlie Kirk's death. That's not true. I've already made several women orgasm just by whispering these very jokes I'm reading to you into their ears, and I'm choosy about my sexual partners. I've been trying to get more watch hours on my YouTube channel so I can get it monetized. Someone suggested I do a video about my thoughts on Charlie Kirk. I would need a lot of views for that, because it would have just been a short reel saying, I never gave a shit about Charlie Kirk, so I'm not going to come on here and act like a pretentious douchebag. I read one post that said Charlie Kirk's death may have been an inside job and compared it to September 11th, to which I say, let's look at George W. Bush's alibi. I am thankful for a couple of things. A packed memorial for Charlie Kirk took place without an incident of violence, thus making it finally safe to go to a Charlie Kirk event. But oh, the irony is that Charlie Kirk couldn't attend. There are several right-wing podcasters who, upon hearing of Charlie Kirk's death, were so glum, distraught, and heartbroken that upon hearing my commentary about this event, I can reassure them with a simple and brusque, fuck your feelings and eat shit, you snowflake. Some people are even comparing Charlie Kirk's death to that of JFK's. Of course, we all remember the Charlie Kirk quote, ask not what your country can do for you, ask how you can get all of the minority groups expunged from your country. And on that note, that's our show. I want to thank Polite Kitty, Chipp Jones, Valerie Paschall, and Nicole Blessing.
Yay!
Hey, thanks, Tom.
All right.
Thanks, Tom.
This episode was written and hosted by Tom Myers with panelists Polite Kitty, Chipp Jones, Valerie Paschall, and Nicole Blessing. Theme music composed and arranged by Jeroen van den Hurck. Executive producers Tom Myers, Aaron Duspiva for Oddly Funny Productions, Matt Connarton for ipmNation, and Eddie Carson for Odyssey Radio. Please leave a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Tom Myers, for access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus clips, and now Patreon-exclusive episodes. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for listening, and please visit tommyers.us. Bye.